You guys hear me okay? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Just can't see me for some reason. You guys hear me okay? Yes. That's
Yes.
sorry about that, guys. That's just my just can't see me for some reason. Let's see. Why is this? There we go. All right. All right. I am here finally. Sorry, guys. Thank you for your patience. We are finally up and running here. Welcome, welcome. Crypto Renegades Monday, 9/22. Almost said August 22nd. September 22nd, 2025. Okay, we are live and recording. All good. Let's get to it. What is going on in crypto land? We had a big dump. All right. Hopefully you guys can hear me and see my screen. Okay.
Yep.
I think I have everything working the way it's supposed to now. The problem sometimes lies switching back and forth from laptop to desktop and doing different Zooms and meetings on different computers. So unfortunately, the Zoom link, my Zoom channel has to re-collaborate. My cameras on different networks have to be readjusted. So I apologize for that. All right. So here we are. This is big XRP rather. And inside, XRP has been in the same channel. We talked about this on the last call. It does look like it had a big dump this morning, but really it didn't dump outside of this overall downward channel. But that would have been a better entry down here. And on the entry that I gave in the signal channel at $2.85 long, we are in profit about 5 or 6% right now. Nothing that crazy, but it did wick down. That would have been a really good entry if you would have caught that wick down right there. Now, does this mean the dumping is over? No, does not mean that. But usually, whenever we have a big dump down in Sunday, usually it's like this, and we pull back out, and that long wick is usually indicative of very strong momentum to the upside. As you can see, it's just a long wick down and pulled right back up, held support right here above the 278, which is really the 112 on the Bitcoin chart. So if we go to Bitcoin, I am negative in my Bitcoin trade because I was still in that from last week, and it did dump down below this level, which I was hoping it would stay above, which was the 114.8 or the 115 zone. It did not stay above this upward trending support line. And that's when it kind of fell out here, thinking that it would bounce and then just come back up. Here was my entry back here somewhere. I can't remember where we got in, but somewhere back here. I can go back and look. And I think my original BTC long position, we were pumping above the 117, move stop loss. And yeah, we weren't. We were in profit, then came back out of profit on that. Let's go back over there and look. So, but this bounce right here, guys, is on the 112. I mean, pretty much it wicked right down to 111.9, 111, 111.243. Okay, that wicked down pretty far. And bounced right back up to all the way up to 113. And now it's just consolidating here. So are we going to double bottom? That's what I said to be careful for in my last post. BT still in my long, added more contracts on the bounce. which brought my entry down a little lower, but now might be a better entry because it was lower. But we could also see a double bottom to retest the 112 if this bounce doesn't hold. Still waiting to see. So it looks like we wicked up here to about 113.3 and I'm coming back down. But are we coming back down to retest the 112? Or are we just making higher lows? Or is this a giant bear flag? Both, all three. Looks like we do have a bearish flag here. This is usually bearish, usually tends to break to the downside, and it's not necessarily a good thing for the bulls, but it did bounce on the 112, which is strong support down here. But nonetheless, that's still a bear flag, and we did break out of the upward trending channel support. But if we zoom out to a higher time frame, we are still in the overall upward trending channel, and we got a ways to go before we hit.
Nico, couldn't this down move been recognized because in the last week, the last high just didn't go as high as the previous high, and we could have seen a breakout of that trend?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we were downward trending from the top here, from 124.5, which was the all-time high right here. And when we came back up, we made a lower high here at 117.8, something like that, 118.
Right.
And so technically that is a lower low, but we were also staying in the upward up to this point. And on my last live call, I did say that if we break this upward trending support to the downside, then we could be, in for coming back down into this channel, which could bring us as low as even back down here to the 104, 105 range. If we don't hold here at 112, the 112 is the magic number because that was major resistance back here. That was the all-time high back here. We consolidated under that from May 22nd to about July. That was about 2 weeks. I'm sorry, 6 weeks. From May 22nd to the breakout here of July 4th, and about 5 or 6 weeks. And then broke out and then retested this level. Broke out, made a new all-time high, retested this level, broke below it, retested it as resistance, broke back above it. And not only did we break back above it, but we did a couple other things that I pointed out on the trading view, is that on the daily, when we broke back above it, we also flipped the EMA ribbon from bearish back to bullish, and we got above the 50-day moving average. But look what's happening now. I mean, we did drop right back below the EMA ribbon and the 50-day moving average. Not good on the daily. Let's look what's going on the weekly, because the weekly stochastic RSI was bullish. We broke the orange line to the upside, and we went above the dotted line on the RSI. On the stochastic RSI, we went above the dotted line on the RSI. And the orange line is also following, which is generally bullish. That only happens twice a year. And every time it does happen, it's usually a big pump to the upside. Right here it happened, huge pump to the upside. Right here it happened, huge pump to the upside. Right here, huge pump to the upside. And all of these little times it happened, we had, even though this was downward trending, we did pump every time that happened. So did we pump? Well, let's look at it. Here's the cross right here. And we did have this little uptick right here, but it did not make a higher high, like you said. And we have a blue line starting to turn up here. It's not facing straight up. It's not getting wider apart from the orange line. Usually, that's usually a good sign. Like here, when we cross the orange line into the RSI here, both lines getting further and further apart is usually a good indication of continuing rise. But here, look at this. We had a little crick to the right where we touched the orange line, and then it bounced and shot up even higher. So could that be ready to happen here? It could. Let's see what happens here. We got 6 days and 8 hours left in this week to see if that happens. Obviously, we're still far away from the EMA ribbon, but that could change as well. Last time we got above it like this, like we did here, and we touched it here. We did bounce on it here. Usually we spring off that, but not this time. Here we bounced off it. We did not make a higher high here either. It's back in.
Nico,
This is a long time ago, but yeah, go ahead.
does it look like a head and shoulder forming, or it's not?
Yeah, there's a lot of things I'm going to show you and that contradict each other. So this technically bullish on the weekly EMA. I mean, on the weekly RSI, stochastic RSI. That's technically a bullish sign, but there are some negatives. There are some bearish things happening, especially on the lower time frame. But if we go up to even a higher time frame on the 2-week stochastic RSI, we had a blue line cross to the downside, and we did have that big dump, but that was before the bounce, and that was before this most recent dump. But as you can see, both lines are still facing down. If we go to the monthly, we had a blue line cross to the downside, and we have bearish divergence on the monthly, where we have lower highs here and higher highs here. If we break.
Oh, it's look like a doji candle forming, like on this pattern right now. No?
Which one?
Yeah, the one you touching right now.
Yeah, this most recent one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is there's 8 days left of this candle, so this can change
Yeah.
shape. We want the ones that are printed. So if this one right here looked like this one right here, this is a trend reversal candle. And as you can see, we were dumping and had a trend reversal candle. The next
But on
candle.
the daily, it's look like an head and shoulder. On here now, it's look like there's a doji candle. It's confusing so much.
Yeah, it's confusing. It depends on the days that you're, on the time frames that you're looking at. So in the lower time frames, you can see potential moves that can be scalped or traded before. It's like, I try to come up with examples, but it's like people have hurricane parties in Florida. The storm is coming, and people are like having a party the weekend before. It's like you can get away with having the party the weekend before because we know next week it's going to be really bad weather. So here you can do something in the lower time frames, on the earlier time frames, even though we know, like for instance, you could have shorted this, even though we know we could be still getting ready to bounce to go to a much higher high. So you don't want to, if you're shorting and trading on the lower time frames, you're not worried about what's going to happen next week or the week after. When I go to these higher time frames, I'm showing you what can happen over the coming weeks, but that doesn't necessarily mean we can't have the opposite reaction in the short term. And so, but yeah, I mean, I'm on the daily right now. Could be, like you said, a head and shoulders. I mean, this shoulder right here was pretty high, but nonetheless, this was a little higher. So we could look at that way. Also a big M pattern. So if depending on how you're looking at it, like let's just say that this was an M and we already came down to the base of the M and we did break to the downside. We pumped back up. So that's not really valid anymore. If we look at it as a head and shoulders, we got a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder, and possibly angled because of the lower lows down here and the kind of the lower highs here. Could be an indication of a break to the downside. This could come down and just touch this upward trending support and bounce, or if we break through here, that would be a major dump to the downside after that. That would be upward trending support and resistance
Yeah, because like the right shoulder shows that it's like it's not done yet because of the level of the rise. That's what I'm trying to check.
Yeah, it doesn't always
It's
have to be
not.
equal to the left shoulder. It doesn't always have to
Okay.
be. But it might be a little too soon to call it a head and shoulders yet because we are in an upward trending channel, and I can show you lots of patterns in an upward trending channel that look like this, for instance. This was a big M right here. Here's a pattern that a lot of people say, isn't that a big M? Yeah. And there's the bottom of it, but when we did not break to the downside, we broke to the upside. Here's over here, we did have, I think that, there could be a lot of zigzaggy action happening inside of a channel that resembles other patterns, like another M here. We had a W here, which did break to the upside, but overall, what is this? This is just a big bull flag. And so if we look at it that way, then we're going to have highs. We're going to have highs and lows. We hit the top, we hit the bottom, we hit the top, we hit the bottom, we hit the top, at the bottom. This one wicked all the way down. And that was the confirmation. That was the support level that it was hitting here, previous resistance. And then wicked down to it and broke out to the upside. This was a falling wedge here. Very, very bullish falling wedge pattern. Double top at the top. And we had another one here. We had a double top and we have another double top. So this could be, I thought this was a falling wedge that we were currently in, but we broke out of it already. And we could just be coming down to retest because we did have a nice double top here and we proceeded to come down, but we did not come all the way to this upward trending support line, but we didn't here either. After hitting the top, after pretty much hitting the top, I would say that we wicked up to the top right here. Is this really the top? Should I have this line here? Maybe this line should be much further out, but the reason why I have it where it is because we hit it as resistance here and support. And resistance and support, and resistance and support, and resistance. And then we hit it as resistance, 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 resistance. And this bottom one, there are some times when we wicked down below it, but the candles held above, and sometimes where we hit it, broke through, and then held as resistance. You can see clearly right here, support, breakthrough, some resistance there, resistance, support, 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 support. So I'm going to keep the lines there. We wick down to it here, hit it here, broke through, resistance here. And we could be coming down to it here. I mean, we definitely can come down to it. That would bring us down to the, I would say, I mean, we did bounce at 112 and we could just go sideways for a little bit and then maybe wick down below that to 110 or so. But I would say the 112 is still strong and in play. I mean, that's probably, we need to hold above that. Let me just put it that way. And that's what I said. That's what I said the other, I think maybe a week or 2 weeks ago when we flipped this EMA ribbon bearish right here. That usually is not good unless we can get back above it. And we got back above it. And we wicked right up to the 50-day moving average. We got above that and then held that as support. But this candle just dropped back below the 50-day moving average and the EMA ribbon. Bearish, flipping it bearish again. And let me just show you what usually is the case. Now, this is not a flip bearish. It went below it, down to the bottom of it, came right back above. Went down to the bottom of it, came right back above. Here's a flip bearish. Bounced on it, came back below it, couldn't get back above it. Wicked above it, like this. This one did wick up to the 50-day moving average and wicked above it right there, but could not hold above it and immediately came back below. And this was not the bear market, but this was a $30,000 drop in Bitcoin from 109 all the way down to 74.5 and then breaking out. But that was the last time that the EMA ribbon was flipped on the daily bearish. And then if we go back before that, we flipped bearish here, couldn't get back above it. And this was April of 2024, and we got back above it May. So a month we stayed under it, very similar to this here, except for this one, when we flipped it right about here. That was February of 2025, and we got back above it here, April. So 2 months underneath, going down, 2 months downward trending. Here, we did get back above it here, but we made a lower high and came back below it here and dropped all the way down to 53K from 71K, $20,000 drop. But if we look at this whole thing here, by the time we actually got above it and climbed back above it, it was a 32% drop to the downside from that top before we broke back out of the EMA ribbon. So if that were to happen again, I mean, even if I count it from the all-time high, the 124.5 here, a 32% drop would bring us down into the 80s. And that would be right at this overall upward trending. No, I don't even have that in the right spot. Let me just adjust that line. This blue line that I got here. Hold on 1 second. That's just a channel that I have going all the way back to the beginning of time, basically. All the way back here to 2013, where we've wicked down and touched this. Here we've touched it. I wouldn't even be overly surprised if that happened, because that has happened. Now, the only difference is we never got back to the top of this channel. We did make higher highs here, but we didn't make the really higher highs. We didn't get way up here into the higher stratosphere of this overall channel that goes all the way back. These are bull market and bear markets going all the way back to 2013. Where here we hit, $1,149 for Bitcoin and came all the way back down to $153. From 153, we went all the way up to 19,000. We didn't come all the way to the bottom. We came back down to 3,800 and came all the way back up to 64,000. And then in the bear market, we dropped all the way down to 15.5. I would say that this is a rising wedge. If you really zoom out to the daily and you look at this pattern, let me just get rid of some of this so you can see it clearly, because get rid of all this stuff inside here. This is a rising wedge, and that is technically bearish. And if we break to the downside of that, which we haven't yet, I mean, don't get me wrong, there is support along the way, but like at 108, I mean, there's support here at 108 before even breaking out of this line. And then if we do break out of this bottom support level, we have support here at 98. We'll have support here at 93. I mean, it would literally need to come down to 88, 89,000 to hit this blue line. And I don't really think that's going to happen right now. I mean, it could, but I would have to see this happen first. So this is one of those if this, then that situations. If that happened, if we break the 112, then we could come down to the 108, 109. If we break that, then yeah, we could come down to the 98. But we are in a rising wedge inside of a rising channel. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you. I just try to understand
No, it's
better.
okay.
So when I put the CME gap detector on 1 hour, I see there's like a little space on it going up, but the bigger one is on the downside. I don't know how to really make decision over it yet. I don't know if you can explain a little bit more about it. Just
Yeah, I don't see that. Bill, I know you talk about the
I'm
gap.
on USDT and then I put the CMA gap. I see there is a
So you have
gap.
to go to futures because it's not the crypto market. It's
Oh,
Chicago
that's-
Mercantile. So right there, two to the left of the word crypto that's highlighted says
Yeah.
futures. Click on that and then type in Bitcoin where you put CME.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Bill,
And
for
then,
the
yeah,
Thank you,
CMA gap.
Bill. Thank you, Bill. I never look at it because to me, I'm just price action trading the charts, but yeah, it is helpful. It definitely is helpful. And
it's made me a lot of money. Like, I've been able to
Yeah.
do 1,000% trades on this a few times.
Wow.
It's really helpful.
I'm trying to understand it, Bill, but sometimes
The
it's
futures one up there it says Bitcoin futures right there. And you'll see the holes in their chart
yeah.
when they, you know what I mean? Just like the stock market. But it's really, the odds are really good. It's been very helpful.
What time frame are you talking about?
1 hour, you can see the gap going up, but if you put 4 hours, you see the gap, a big gap going down.
On daily, I can see it over here, but you got a couple of them. We got this gap.
That one filled though.
That one filled back
And
here.
that one is fell. I'm on USDT. I don't know.
That's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
USDT is not the same. If you have a regular fair value gap, that's different than a CME gap.
oh, so the one in USDT is the fair value, you mean?
Would have to be. Yeah, would have to be. Totally
Can you-
separate. I mean, it's a very similar
Oh,
idea. It's a
okay.
similar idea. There's an imbalance in the market because your major, for example, the CME gaps, your major players are playing, and those holes are basically where there's an imbalance because we moved the market away from them while they weren't playing the game.
Wow.
So it's a good place to look for,
Yeah,
limit
because
longs.
I'm
That's
on
what I do.
USDT so far, so maybe I'm
It's
supposed to go
different.
to something else.
Yeah, that's different. If you're looking at, I'd have to see what you were looking at. Could you share maybe a screenshot?
No, but on my phone it's a little bit
Oh,
difficult.
I see.
But
Okay.
when you go on the right side, when you see the currencies, where you see
Yeah.
the currency, I'm on USDT. Maybe I have to change it to USD,
Yes.
or
Are you on Phemex or TradingView?
I am on TradingView,
Okay, then
not on Phemex.
yeah, if you want to see the CME gaps, you have to go into here, select futures, and just type in BTC, and it's right there.
That's what I did, but I think I'm on USDT on the currency, and that's where I see the gap.
Probably because you've selected crypto where you need to select futures. See where he's got his,
Oh,
yeah, you got to pick futures. Two different things, similar but
Yeah.
different.
oh, okay.
Now we did the most recent gap was up here and we filled that. But we did come up and retest this level here right before dropping. This is to me what stands out the most. And Bill, you can correct me, or you can talk about that. But this is the the EMA ribbon on the daily being flipped, maybe flipped. It may not be flipped. We could just be wicking down through it and coming back up. And that like this, if we could be wicking down, we could be wicking down into it, but this one's all the way through. This one's all the way through up here like this one. But as you can see, it can pull back up and out.
Yeah, the only one that's left is at 92, 91,970. So we'd have to have a pretty big pullback to hit that one.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Bill. I'm still learning. I'm trying to get it.
Yeah, no, those are great questions. And thank you for asking them.
Thank you. Thank you
The
so much.
reason I teach it is because I saw a video where that's how he made his living. All he did was trade fair value gaps and CME gaps, and that's how he made his living. I was like, that's amazing. You know, you have to add it
Yeah.
to the list of strategies if somebody
Yeah.
uses it to that level.
Yeah, and that could be your only strategy if you want. I mean, you know, you're just sitting on your hands for a long time waiting.
Right.
But for sure, they usually get filled, these gaps.
And
I'm
with that,
still trying to get
And
a
even if this
strategy.
does get filled here, if this does come down and get filled, that, I mean, not only will we be shorting this on the way down, but this could be a tremendous entry point.
Tremendous for the next run up.
but wouldn't that one, the 116, 119 area up north, that one hasn't filled yet. It's been touched or partially filled, but hasn't been completely filled. Am I wrong on that?
160. Well, if the price came back down through, it filled it.
Right here, we got filled. So we had a gap and then we came through it here. And we retested it at this level a couple times. And that's the most recent test right here. But we have a gap like this going to the upside. It's not filled until it comes back down and fills it. So this was filled here. This was filled here. This one never filled yet.
Right.
At 90, 91.8 to 93.8.
And there's some consolidation there. There's some support and resistance right at that area, if I'm not mistaken. So you're looking at, so it's double the strength because you've got a CME gap at support.
Yeah.
And
on
right
this
at
all-time-
Fibonacci.
For sure. And on the much higher time frame, guys, you know, there is some indication that it's possible that we could come back into that level.
Sorry, guys. Can you explain the CME gaps? I'm lost there.
So the Chicago Mercantile Exchange trades Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs Monday through Friday. They're the major players. There's a lot of money in the markets. If they shut down on Friday at 5 p.m. and we, the wizards who trade 24/7, move the price far away from where they shut down, it leaves that hole in the chart. And that hole that's left in the chart when they come back on Monday, the hole, they want to fill it. The price wants to come back down to that area because it's sort of an imbalance in the market, and there has to be balance in the market. There has to be a buyer for every seller. And when you blow through price with a great big candle, you leave behind no volume, no business was transacted there. Price wants to come back and do business there. It's called auction market theory. You want to spend some time with that, but it's helped me tremendously.
Well, how do we make money on that, or how do we
So
trade
what
with-
I
with
do,
that?
is I have a limit order at 91,970 to the top of it, which is 92,525 if my memory serves, and it usually does. So I have limit orders in that area. So if price falls down there, I know that's strong support. So price is likely to bounce like Super Mario already, but it's also got that gap, which price fills 60 to 80% of the time. I think the last statistic was. That's a very good reason to take a long. Two very good reasons to take a long. Just so happens that's at the Fibonacci too, right? At the 618, if I'm not mistaken. So if price comes down to 92, I want to buy. I want to go long because we're expecting November, December, and maybe into early January, the rest of the bull run, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, thanks.
Right on.
So when you're looking at, when you see the CME gap like this, the only thing that we don't know is when it's going to fill. So, but generally speaking, it usually does. So sometimes when you hear me say, I don't normally talk about it because, you know, sometimes it's far away. But sometimes when you hear me say, yeah, we could come back down to this level, and you guys are like, how is it possible that Bitcoin can get that low? Sometimes it's because I'm taking into consideration these gaps as well, along with the fact that some support resistance levels just have never been retested. Like back here when we came up from the bear market bottom here at 15,500, when we hit the very bottom of the bear market back in 2022, going right into 2023 here, we came up and hit this resistance here at 30,000 right here. And we could not get through it for a while, but that was very strong resistance. But because it was also resistance back here when we were dropping from the bear market, from the all-time high in 2021, we came down and we went right through and retested it as resistance here after flipping the MA ribbon and then dropping. But it was also, whoops, let me just put that back where it was. It was also support here and support here and support back here. So if we go back to the beginning of the last bull market, when we finally came up to these levels, 30K, we've got above it, went up to 42K and then held as support right here on 30K. And then we went to an all-time high and then held as support on 30K. And then we went to a new all-time high, double topping, and then held as support at 30K. And then we dropped through 30K and held as resistance at 30K and then dropped all the way to the very bottom of the bear market. And then on our way back up, we hit it, couldn't get through. By the way, this was in April of 2023, dropped all the way down to here. 2 months, came back up, hit it, couldn't get through. July, dropped all the way back down. Still couldn't get through. Finally broke through here and just went parabolic, went all the way up to 49, pulled back a little bit to 38, went all the way up to 74, but we never came back to retest 30K, which is unusual, and that is not considered proper market structure. So if I were to bring this all the way over to, 2026 and just leave that line there, I would not even be surprised if we had a major bear market, if we had a big economic collapse or some kind of recession or whatever, that we could even come down that low again. Some people think that it's not going to happen. That's impossible. We're never coming back to that level again. But there's a couple levels that we certainly could come back down to. That being one of them. Also, here we had major resistance, major support, and resistance and support, and that is at the 48K range. So there's some levels to this. We're also in an upward trending support. I would like, Bill can certainly have one of his classes or one of his calls on that. I mean, I know he does already. He talks about it a lot, but
it's just easy for new people to understand there's a hole there. And if you put a limit long and wait, it'll pay off eventually.
Yeah.
That's just an easy strategy.
I don't see nothing on there. I had to get it up on the list sometime or another, but this sounds like
I'm going to mute you, Tammy, because it doesn't sound like
I wasn't sure if he was talking to us or not.
It's okay. So we have this upward trend from the bottom, upward trending support from the bottom. And we technically also have a rising wedge from when we have here was when we broke previous all-time high for the first time in this bull market. And if we draw a line from there and touch the tops of all of these higher highs, we hit it. We made a higher high here at 112 and we kind of cut through. We did break above that temporarily. As I talked about here, we broke all the way up to 123, held as support for a minute, fell back through, went above, fell back through, hit it as resistance, went through to 124 and then fell back through. So we could not hold above this. That happened back here when we went through it, held as support, resistance, support, resistance, and then drop. So, I mean, could that mean that this is the top of a bull market? Sure, 124 could be, but we won't know that yet. We won't know that yet because if we go to the 12-month time frame, the 12-month candle, it looks like this. And we're still in this candle and we have 3 months and 10 days left. And generally speaking, and I say generally, guys, because it's just so far throughout the history of Bitcoin, the 12-month candle. I'm on the CME chart, so this isn't going to look the same here. But if I go back to crypto and go to BTC, USD. historically throughout Bitcoin's lifetime so far since 2000 and we're, 9, every time we hit a bull market top, it's 4 candles to the next top. It's a 4-year cycle. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That was the bull market top of 2017. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was the bull market top of 2021. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are in the 4th candle now. It ends in 3 months and 10 days on December 31st or January 1st. And when this candle prints and it's done and the next candle starts, generally speaking, I can only go by history, guys. I can't tell you if things are going to be different this time. They seem to be different this time, but if we just look at what always has happened so far, whatever the highest point of this candle was, when the next candle starts, usually indicates the top of the market. Just like this one. I know I go over this a lot, but there's new people on every time. I just want to be clear here. This was the top right up here, 19.9 or 20K, I can't remember. Came all the way down to here to 13.9, and then the next candle started. And this candle went all the way up to like 17.2. Didn't make any higher than this one, but what it means is this was the top. We just didn't know it yet in this candle because this candle was going up a little bit. We didn't know if it was going to go higher or not, but it didn't. And it didn't here either. It did go up a little bit, but it never went higher. And it did here a little bit. It went up a little bit, but never got higher. And so the next candle that starts here, even if it does go up a little bit, it has to get higher than the top of this candle. And if that happens, then things are different. Then this is no longer valid. But right now, the trend is your friend till the end. And the way I look at it is at the end of this year, December 31st or January 1st, 2026, me personally, I will look at this candle and I will see where this next candle is going. And I will determine personally if I think that was the top or not. If I were to just close my eyes and go with my gut instinct, I would say that's probably going to be the top of the bull market. Only because cyclically speaking, on the 4-year time frames, that's always been the case. And so with that being said, could we come back down pretty low? Well, look, this drop from the top was 84%. This drop from the top, %. This drop from the top, 86%. So those are huge drops, right? So where would that lead us? If 124, let's just say it never goes higher than 124. And we got in the next 3 months and 10 days, it just kind of waffles around where it's at and doesn't get higher. And then the next candle opens, then I'm going to draw a line from 124. And coming down to, look at that, coming down to that exact same percentage drop, 76%, 77%, 80%, 86%. That would bring us right down to 30K. And guess what else is interesting? 30K is double from where the last bear market bottom was, 15.5. And 124 is almost double from the last bear market bull market top was, 68, whatever it was, 68. It literally would have to go up a little higher in order for that to be double. But let's say 68,000. It would need to get to 136, which I'm still hopeful for. So in the next 2 months, 3 months and 10 days, what's left of this year, I will say that I think that we still have a big run to the upside. Another bullish move to the upside before it's all said and done, before it's all over for this bull market. Doesn't mean it's over for trading because we're going to make a lot more money on the way down. But some of you came in to learning about this and trading right at the very, towards the end of the bull market after 4 years of upside. We were at 4 years ago, we were at 15,500. 3 years ago, rather, I'm sorry. After 3 years to the upside. And so with that being said, you're coming in at the end of a bull market cycle. And yes, I think we do have another hurrah. I think we do have another potential pump to the upside. And that could just simply be but we still could come down and retest these levels first. We could still come down and hit this upward trending support and then break this previous all-time high at 124 and get all the way up here into the 136, 140 level. That makes perfect sense to me that happens. And also it would look like possibly even reconnecting of this long running upward trending going back to 2000 and hold on a second, let me find where we're at here.
Victoria raised her hand, boss.
Yeah, go ahead. You can just jump out and ask, Victoria.
Is it harder at the end of the market cycle to make money because you don't really know how to read the charts because they're kind of going like it's harder to read what they might do, or is that just for all the time?
No, it's things move so slow that, I mean, we've been in a bull market now for 3 years. Let me go to the weekly time frame so you can see this. And so right here was November of 2022. So if you would have went long here and just held and stayed, then yeah, right now you'd be up 8x. I mean, you'd be up. I mean, that if you just would have bought one Bitcoin for 15,500, the value of it would be 8 times more valuable now, maybe even 9 or 10 times, right? But along the way up over this 3-year period, we had huge 30% pullbacks, 30%, 30%, giant, 55% pullback, huge 30% pullback. So even in an upward bull market, we have big downward pulls, big downward drops and plunges and, consolidation periods. So same thing on the way down, or, when we get to the top, like here, did anybody know this was the top when it was hitting 64.5 here? I think people, because of this huge parabolic move to the upside, this is where people get excited finally. And they're like, oh my God, it's shooting to the moon. Let's buy, let's get in. They get in up here and then boom, it drops on them. And then the value. So let's just use round numbers. If someone bought a whole Bitcoin here for 64K, it got cut in half down to 30K here. And they're like, shit, oh man, it's dropping. I'm going to get out now. And they get out here because they want to stop the bleeding because they can't handle the pain of buying at 64K and then it dropping down to 50% in value. So they sell, boom, it bounces and it climbs all the way back up. And then they're like, shit, I should have stayed in. It is going to the moon. So they buy back in here another Bitcoin at 64K after losing 50% of its value here. And then it drops again on them. And they're like, what the fuck? I don't know what I'm doing. Crypto's a scam. They're stalking me. Every time I go long, it jumps on me. Every time I go short, it goes up on me. That's because people don't know what they're doing and they're buying highs and selling lows. They're not buying lows and selling highs. So when it was down here at 15.5, the majority of the talking heads out there, the majority of the people were saying it's going to 10K. So everyone who didn't know what they were doing was waiting for it to go lower. I'm not buying at 15.5. Everyone says it's going to 10. It's going to go back down to 10K. It's going to go to 5K. I'm going to wait till it hits 10K and then I'm going to buy. Bounces at 15.5. We were saying that the bottom was in at 17 in our group. It went a little bit lower and then started to climb. If you would have bought here at 17, you would have went a little bit negative for a minute until it bounced out. Not just a minute. I mean, that was, a couple months, a month or two before it finally climbed back up. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that when it's at the bottom or it's at the top, there's still a lot of volatility. There's still a lot of buying and selling action. Like, look at this. We pumped up to 58K. And then the next week we dropped all the way down to 43K. And then the next week we pumped all the way back up to 52. And then the next week we pumped all the way back up to 61. And then we dropped all the way. The next week dropped all the way back to 50. And then we pumped all the way back up to 64. So there's a lot of up and down action, even at the top. Now this one, as far as knowing when the top is in, that's a different story. And when we think the top is in, it would be a good idea to have an open position short. You can do it in a sub account. And what I'm going to be suggesting when that time comes is for those of you who want to ride a short position from the top all the way to a bear market bottom. And I think in theory, everybody thinks that sounds like a great idea, right? I mean, if you have a choice, just be in one trade and ride it all the way down to the bottom and make the most money. I think everybody would like to do that. The problem is that we have wild swings up and down along the way. So even when Bitcoin starts to drop, even when the bull market is over, we're going to have this happening. Let me just go back to the last one so you can see. Okay, let's just say I called the top here, which I didn't, but let's just say I did. I called it here. But let's say I didn't call the top. I called the top here and you go short. And you're happy because it's dropping. Ooh, drops all the way down to here. 41K. You made a lot of money, but you're staying in this because you think it's the bear market, so you're going to just stay in till the end. And then it pumps all the way back up to 51 and then pulls back a little bit, but does not make a lower low, and then pumps up even higher than this. And you're like, oh shit, maybe it's not done. And it pumps all the way up to 52K. So you were very profitable here, and now you're half profitable here. You got to have the guts and the you know what to stay in that short and be able to ride out these huge swings, because otherwise you should take the profit here, get back in short here, take the profit here, get back in short here, take the profit here, get back. In a perfect world, in hindsight, it's easy to see what you should have done, but otherwise you just stay in from up here and you get out down here when the bottom is done, when the bottom is in. And we will have an idea when that happens too, because we will be looking at the RSI on the weekly. And let me just show you. I know I've went over this a million times too, but on the regular RSI, on the weekly time frame, we can see in the last bull market. Oh, I'm on the daily. Wonder what was going on. In the last bull market, it's clear to see when the bottom was in. Because here we were way up oversold on the weekly, which we are already done here in this bull market. But let's go look at the last one. We were way up here in the green, overbought, and this was the peak of the RSI. And that was not the top of the bull market. That was right here at 41K. You see that? I mean, we came all the way up and hit it, 41K. And then we dropped down to 29K, and then we came up to 64. We dropped down to 30 again. We came up to 64. But look what was going on down here. So we had a high, a lower high. Just that alone, right there, was the beginning of bearish divergence. So we had a high and a higher high. And then down here, we had another lower high. And here, when we had that lower high, it was this all-time high. You can look at the line going straight down. It was right here. So on the RSI, we hit a top and we came back. We were in the feverish overbought territory. We come below the dotted line and we dip all the way down and we come back up and we don't get even a back above this dotted line, and we hit the high and then we drop. And if anybody knows what they're looking at, they can see on the RSI that we have what's called bearish divergence. And this is a lower high here, even though we'll have a higher high in the price here. And that was the beginning of the end. That was the beginning of the bear market. So even if you didn't know that here, what thing we can see is when the bear market was over. The bear market was over here. There's the top. And we basically broke out here. And if you look at the dotted line, we broke out here and dropped down and retested. So right here, we broke out and retested. That was the first time we broke out of this downward trending resistance on the RSI right here. And that was right on cue If you just look at the durations of the bear markets, it was about 1 year out, and we were having lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and we broke out and retested on top of this line. If we would have just pumped up and then came back below the line, may not have been done yet. But we got back up, we bounced on that line and we got above the moving average, and that was the beginning of the bull market. So now, with that bit of information, we can look at the current situation and say, very similarly, we have bearish divergence. And we have higher highs. Right here, when we were overbought territory, we were at 73.8. We just broke previous all-time high. And then we had a higher high at 108 right here. Boom. We had a higher high at 109, but that was a lower high here again. We had a higher high at 112, and that was here, and another lower high. And we even had a higher high after that at 124. And that's even a lower high here and below the yellow line, which is the moving average. Bearish, not good. And we have a rising wedge, which is generally bearish, generally breaks to the downside on the overall. So the price is still going up. So as long as there's higher highs, it can continue to go up. We can have another higher high somewhere up here in the 130, 150, 160 range and still have a lower high down here. In other words, this could come down, and we could, in the price, we could come down to, let's say, 110, 108, 105. And then this comes up and makes another run for it and hits this and doesn't get any higher. But on the price, it comes all the way up to, 180. That's possible. And we still have a lower high here. But as soon as that breaks this upward trending support, and this drops again below the moving average one more time, and if that just happens to be at the end of this year, when that 12-month candle is over, I'm going to call that the top. Right or wrong, I'm going to call it the top, because it's just based on all the information that I have. And if this time is different, then here's what's going to happen. If this time actually is different, then we're going to break above this line here, and we are going to make a new high higher than this high, and a new high here higher than this high, and we're going to break this bearish divergence, and this price is going to go parabolic. That would make it different. That would make it different to me, for sure. Breaking the bearish divergence would make it different, and we would probably have to get above the 80 or the 70 on the RSI. But until then, it's lower highs. And that's undisputable. Now, in the crypto market, in Bitcoin, this has only happened once before. And that was the last bull market where we had this kind of bearish divergence. In the stock market, it's happened many times, and it sometimes can last months or years before a crash. But they usually do know when the crash is about to happen by looking at the bearish divergence. But it could go on, but it can only go on so much, guys, because there's a bottom to this RSI, and there is a upward trending support that we would have to, once we break through, then that's usually not good. So all that being said, let's get back to the chart. Any other questions on that?
What's your time frame on whether it breaks the upward trending or the downward trending trend for the RSI?
The end of this year, 3 months and 10 days.
Okay, so December 31st.
Yep. That's just one thing. That's not a definitive all-knowing, all-ruling indication, but that is on the 12-month time frame. That will be historically the top. That's the fourth candle on the 12-month time frame. That's the fourth year of the bull market cycle, and historically that has always been the top. So whatever the price is on December 31st, let me put it this way. It's not whatever the price is on December 31st is the top. It's whatever the price was during that whole year candle, whatever the top price was. So this is where some people get confused. They're going to say, okay, well, whatever the price is on December 31st, that's the top. Nico said, no. Let me just clarify that. This candle is the candle we're talking about. We are in that candle right now. This candle has gone up to 124, and it's come back down to where it's at right now at 112. And there's 3 months and 10 days left of this candle. So this candle can go up all the way to 160, 170. It could come, or it could not go up any higher than where it's been. Maybe 124 is the top, and it's coming down now. And it could come over the next 3 months, it could come down to 98K. And then that next candle opens. That means this candle is done. This next candle that opens could also go back up a little bit, even to 112. But historically, it's never gotten higher than this candle. If you go back and look at all of these red candles here, that's the beginning of the bear market. All of them, none of them. Like some of them do go up higher. Look at this one. This one went all the way up to 1200, came all the way back down. And then once that candle was done, this one printed. I mean, this one printed and this one started. And this one went up all the way back up to, almost $1,000, but it never got higher than that one. So technically speaking, this is the beginning of the bear market. But you could go short here as soon as this candle opens. So let's just say this is the current time and this candle's done. It's January 1st, 2026 or December 31st of this year. And this candle starts. You're going to say, oh, okay, well, I should go short right here. Because Nico said that is the top of this past candle. And that I am going to do that, just so you know. I am going to do that, but you got to understand that this could still go up a little bit before coming back down. And I'm going to see, are we just going down or are we trying to get back higher than when this candle closed? And if we do, you could wait. You could wait it out. There will be some indications during that time of where, what resistance is hitting. In this current situation right now, let's just say this goes down to 100K over the next 3 months, and then boom, next candle opens. I would say we could come back up and retest 112. I would say that could happen for sure. But whatever the top of this one was probably the top. So unless you shorted 124, you're never going to hit the top. Unless you're short 124, and that does end up being the top, then you would not be able to short the top. You would have to short somewhere down here to catch the bear market. So for those of you now, but that's only if 124 is the top. We don't know that because there's 3 months left of this candle. So this candle can go all the way up to any amount. It could go up to 500K for all I know. But so that's why I say at the end of this year, we will know where this candle prints and we will know what the highest point of the wick was for this candle. And we can call that the top of this bull market cycle based on history. And if it's not the top, meaning the next candle goes higher, then that will be the first time that's ever happened. And that will prove that this time is different. And I will put my tail between my legs and say, okay, guys, sorry, well, this time is different. But I am forewarning you that that's, of course, everything is possible. It is possible that this time is different, but I'm just saying that so far throughout history, it never was. It never has been different than that. And it would make sense also because there's other things going on in the world. These tariffs and Trump and like all the turmoil, Trump may be doing good things and like he might be well-intentioned, and in the long run, all of these changes might be good. But, listen, there's sometimes a lot of pain before things get good. There could be a lot of economic unrest. There could be wars. There could be economic collapse. There could be the crash of the US dollar. There could be the replacement of the US dollar into crypto. There's so many things going on right now. And that's probably why we haven't shot up to 500K for Bitcoin, because there's just too much unknown. There's a lot of there's a lot of fear in the market. There is a lot of fear. If we go and look at the fear and greed index, kind of neutral right now. Kind of in the middle. But back when we were at 74K, back in the last bull market when we were at 68K, greed, extreme greed. Extreme. Let's go and look at it. Yeah. What it telling us? This doesn't go back far enough.
Nico, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you think, based off of how late we are to the party as far as dropping interest rates, that the bull run could extend longer?
Yeah. Yeah, it could. And we could have I mean, we already see some coins taking off. We could have let me just go here and look at the Bitcoin dominance chart here. We could see Bitcoin losing dominance and altcoins taking off. But I'm not so sure if I mean it is obvious here. It depends on what you're looking at here, but on the Bitcoin, on the market cap BTC dominance chart on the daily. Anybody want to tell me what this is representing or indicating? We hit a top. We broke, I mean, the last time we hit the top, we broke below the upward trending support, retested right here. You can see the retest. Double topped. It's back in 2020. Dropped. Bear market bottom territory. Bull market. We hit the top. And we already broke below upward trending support. Now, we got a bounce. We got a bounce happening. And possibly breaking back through the EMA ribbon, but this is the daily right here. Trying to get through it. So we do have some potential to have this one more parabolic move to the upside, I would say, to retest. Like we did here. We did retest here, and then we came down here and bounced and came all the way back up to retest this level. Oh my God, you're awesome. Thank you. So it's hard to like try to predict what is going to happen based on what already happened before. But this, Bill, if you're on, what's your take on this? This is this is like, to me, it's not necessarily rosy for Bitcoin. I mean, it could be altcoin season getting ready to take off. And then you look at things like BNB. I mean, BNB is going nuts.
But BNB's always had a real strong burn rate. You know what I mean? That's a coin that actually is building in scarcity, has a lot of use case. So BNB's a real good coin. But I think you're coming to the end of the cycle. We should expect Bitcoin dominance to drop, US dollar tether dominance to drop. We should see the money rotate into altcoins. We should see the Ethereum Bitcoin price go to more like 0.7. But we're not. And we should see Bitcoin stay pretty stable, not take a big crap overnight. It's not happening yet. It's kind of happening, but
yeah. That's why we could easily just bounce back up here and retest these levels. I wouldn't be surprised, actually. This is a slight breakout here, guys, to this upward trending support, just like here. Then we came back up and retested. But then we did have a big drop. And we even came back up again after that to retest. that would look like this. That would be us retesting here, wafting a little bit, and then really coming down to probably about here and then coming back up. And all this can happen and will happen or have to happen in the next 3 months, in my opinion. But a lot can happen in 3 months.
Remember you talked about the Benner chart last week with sort of the esoteric timing of things. October, November supposed to be in December, according to, supposed to be strong, but you're looking at probably the rest of September maybe being kind of downtrodden, but the beginning of October things to pick up. So I'm laying in limits and going short.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill. Yeah. So guys, what
Hey,
we're trying to do.
Bill, how
Yeah.
strong are you on the moon chart? You know,
It
some
paid
people
off
take
this
that-
month. Hey, we had the equinox and the new moon. The new moon usually says things are going to go down. And then we also had the equinox, which is happening today, as a matter of fact. So, and then, market maker method, we were due for another drop. I think we're in drop level 2 on a higher time frame. I have to look at it. I've been busy answering questions and updating the help desk, so I haven't had time to really map out a chart today. I like that millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. That's the right answer. That's attributed to JP Morgan. It's not an actual quote, but it was someone talking about his behavior. And I think he was the one that wore the watch. So it all plays out, right? The signs in the heavens were made for us. They lie to us and tell us that it's the devil, but it was made for us. So I put a lot of into it because it just keeps paying off.
Is that an indicator, Bill, the full moon?
Yes, you can see the new moon. So if you guys go to, I just spent some time upgrading the Trading View indicators in the help desk. If you go in to Trading View indicators, you're going to see Beat the Market Maker method core. And in there, you'll see market sessions. And in the market sessions, I like her. It's Trade Travel and Chills. I like that one for the way it shows the new moon and the full moon cycle. Market sessions. I'll drop a link in the Zoom chat.
Thanks.
Guys, can we take a look at XRP?
Yep. And by the way, guys, I know some of you might be new and you're like, what's going on with this esoteric stuff and this woo-woo conspiracy stuff? Just keep in mind that it doesn't matter what you previously think. When things correlate, when things add up, sometimes you have to talk about it. You can even be uncomfortable about it. You can say, I don't believe that. It doesn't matter what you believe. There's the belief of what you believe in. By the way, belief means you're unsure. Most people who believe in things don't realize that they're unsure. Because the opposite of belief is to know. So when you say you believe in something, that just means you don't know, but you believe it to be true.
I know the full moon makes me money. So there you go. If it pays, that's all that matters. Right. So
yeah,
people want to build generational wealth. People want to be elite. People want to be Elon Musk. Well, you have to change. To enter the kingdom of heaven, you must change, have the mind of a child, be willing to learn.
Yeah. So here's XRP. We're still in that upward trending channel.
So Nico, I'm looking for an entry for XRP to buy and hold. And I noticed that back November 11th of last year, it took a huge run up. And I'm going to do some research to look back and see why. But I'm looking to buy and hold. And do you think we're in a downtrend here?
No. For XRP?
Yes.
A downtrend? I mean, on the low time frames in the short term, but this is a bullish flag. This is a falling wedge, which is bullish, and we're coming to possibly an upward trending support. For me personally, as far as XRP is concerned, I think XRP could go to $7 to $10 in the short term, possibly even $25 to $100 in this bull market, which sounds outrageous. I know, but if all of the things that are in place or being put in place actually come to fruition, then it could be one of those light switch moments where not waiting 3 years, 5 years, but you wake up one morning and XRP is $850 and you're like, what the hell happened? Because the banks just decided now is the time. And if you, they don't care if you had a bunch of it or not. They're not waiting for you to get rich to pile up on XRP so that they can flip the switch. They're trying to get all of their systems in place before they switch over to digital currency on the blockchain, and for the Swift network and for all the financial transactions, for the quadzillion dollars worth of transactions per day that are going to be taking place on the XRP network. And if that happens, and if all the planets align and it happens, it's going to happen quickly. So I don't care if XRP drops down to 240 or 230, which I don't really think it's going to. I mean, it could get down to, certainly could get down to in the 260, 270 range, but it would probably be right over here at 270. But I'm not even concerned about that. I would just buy more. But I think once it breaks this falling wedge, bullish falling wedge here, it'll probably come over here and retest this upward trending support first. But then I think we got a parabolic move to the upside again here, somewhere up into the $4, $5 range, coming soon to a theater near you.
So, Nico, you're saying it doesn't really matter what we buy it at right now, just buy it.
I think that if Bitcoin was $13 for Bitcoin right now, for $13 per Bitcoin, I think that there was a lot of foolish people out there waiting for it to drop to $8 before they bought it. And in hindsight, if you could buy Bitcoin at $13 right now, you would probably leverage your house and everything, all the assets you have. So buying XRP right now at sub $3 is to me like buying Bitcoin at $13.
So don't be greedy and try to pinch pennies.
Exactly. Don't be tripping over dollars to save pennies, guys. XRP is probably the only asset I've ever seen in my lifetime that the average person, meaning us, has the capability, has the actual opportunity to front run the institutions on. We can actually accumulate it in stockpile before they actually make the big switch, which they are in the process of doing with said token. Imagine, by the way, this happens in real estate all the time. Imagine that you happen to be, your sister works for the city council and she's having meetings with billionaire real estate developers and they have plans for the city outside of the city that you live in. And they're going to build this huge mega structure and this giant park and this huge area where it's going to attract millions of people from around the world. And you have the foresight, the hindsight, and the inside information, and your sister-in-law who works there telling you, this is what's coming. This is what's getting ready to happen. Now, what you would do if you were smart, you would go buy up property in that area, in that region, from the people that you know are going to be bought out in the coming weeks, months, or years. And so this happens. This does happen. Developers know what's going to happen in the surround, like outside of Tampa, for instance, the bubble of growth, the circle of growth is like this. It's insane. So when you really understand this, you have an area, right? So all of this area, this is the expanding area where property values are shooting up through the roof because there's just overbuilding. And then there's another little area around this area that is the next phase of development. And then there's an area that's the next phase of development after that. And if you have the foresight to go buy in this area and buy in this area and sit and wait until this expands out, then you will get super rich. And that's kind of the opportunity you have in XRP right now. XRP is $3, $2.85 today. It was 3.10 2 days ago. 3.15. It was 3.62 2 months ago. And this is why people don't buy. But it's going down. But it's going down. Why should I buy it? That's the opposite of what investors do. I mean, everybody always quotes Warren Buffett, but no one ever listens to him. When there's blood in the streets, that's when you get greedy. When everyone's greedy, that's when you get fearful. When we're at the top, I mean, when everybody's crying and it's dropping and everybody's scared, that's when you buy more. That's the dips. That's the big drops. Especially if you really knew what was going to happen with XRP, guys, you would have as many tens of thousands of it as you possibly could. But I know it's getting expensive. It's $3, but you can only buy so many thousands of it. You only have so much money. I get it, but what would you do if you go back and buy Bitcoin at $3?
Wouldn't you agree, Nico? Like the entire financial plumbing of the entire globe is 100% changing, and XRP and Ripple is at the forefront of that.
Exactly.
So it's like getting into when the internet first came out.
Yes, I would agree.
There was
ISO 200 or 20022 tokens that are all part of this, compliant network of exchanges and things like that. HBAR, XLM. There's several other ones. Solana. There's several other ones that are on that list, but XRP is the big daddy main one. And me personally, why should I get a bunch of I have it. I have some HBAR, but I'm not stocking up. I have some XLM, but I'm not like buying millions of it. I'm not trying to buy as much of it as possible because if those things go to the moon, then XRP is already on the moon. If those things go to the moon, it's secondary. So if I got enough XRP, I'm fine. If I miss out on HBAR after XRP, I will be fine. I don't even care.
Nico.
Yeah.
Do you have a stop loss on XRP?
No, I do have a liquidation price, but let me zoom in here. Did I put one on my?
Because it wicked down to 267 September 21st. So
I did put 266 on my. I did put a signal in this morning for XRP. After a long wick down, entry 285, stop loss 266, which is
wicked down to 267.
Yeah, but that was before I entered.
Okay.
It wicked all the way down, and that's why I put the stop loss down here below this wick right here at 266.
And
so this happened already this morning. This big wick down happened this morning before I entered, and I entered up here when it pulled all the way back up. See this big wick down right here? That's why I say put your stop loss under that. And so I would say right here too, I didn't actually add mine in. I put it in the signal channel because I want you guys to be safe. Well, let me put it in right now. 266. There it is. I really don't think it's going to come back to that again. I think that was a very long wick on Sunday night to come down to these levels right here and bounce out. So I think we are on the bounce. I think we are on the way out. You could draw a resistance line from this peak here to here, and we would need to get above that. We did have kind of an M pattern on XRP here, but we did already break that level. Exactly.
Nico, what's the best way to buy XRP to just buy and hold?
I mean, you could do it. You can do it in your. It depends. If you have a Web3 wallet and you want to store it there, you generally need to buy it on some exchange, right? So you could, I think, what I would do is I would transfer USDT into Phemex, convert to XRP, transfer that out to your cold storage wallet. You could also buy it on Coinbase. I've been with Coinbase since they started back in like 2009. I can't even remember. It's been a long time. They've been around for a long time. I think I did a search in my transaction search and found transactions all the way back in like 2013 or 14. So, I'm in the system. I'm KYC'd. I report my taxes. I have CPAs and tax attorneys, that deal with several businesses that I have, plus real estate investment stuff. So I'm as compliant as I can be. But I know there's some of you that don't want to be, and some of you that want to be sovereign and outside the system and make money on the decentralized networks without anybody knowing. And you certainly can do that on Phemex, but you got to get the money into Phemex somehow. And so Cash App, you can do it. You can, if you buy $10,000 worth of Bitcoin on Coinbase from your bank account, there is a paper trail showing that you moved money from a centralized bank to a centralized exchange. And then if you transfer that out of Coinbase to Phemex, there is a paper trail showing that it went to a Phemex wallet. Now, from there, you could lose it all in a trade and have nothing to show for it. And if you could document that, if you were ever audited, you'd have to, if they were like, well, what happened to that $10,000 you transferred? Where'd it go? You could say you gave it to somebody. You could say you don't know, and you transferred it to a wallet thinking that it was the right one, but it just disappeared. I never saw it again after that. I mean, no one really would ever be able to tell if you're being truthful or not. I'm not advocating to do any of that stuff, but I know that people are worried so much about the tax situation. But what I would worry about the more than that is making money. So yeah, to answer your question, buy it, a lot of it if you can. Sit on it, wait. I don't even care if it's Coinbase, but you could, if you follow like Jack, what's his name? Jake Claver and some of these other people out there that are trying to get you to set up, trusts and holding accounts and LLCs in Nevada, or not Nevada, Montana or wherever, Delaware, and all these different safe tax haven states, then you would technically transfer ownership from your crypto account, your wallet, into that trust. If you do that before the price event, they call it a price event. If you do that before the big event, meaning big price move to the upside, then it's better for you. It's safer. You're going to be more compliant. You're going to be less taxes, stuff like that. If you have 20,000 XRP in Coinbase and the price shoots to $1,000, and now you have $20 million sitting there, and then you go and set up these trusts and all these things afterwards, you can do that too. There's going to be more fees. It's going to cost you a little bit more, but do you really care at this point? Just made $20 million on a $3,000 investment or whatever it is.
That's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have. So I don't personally try to overthink that stuff, guys. Taxes right now, yes. Will it probably be abolished eventually? Yes, I'm sure it will. But until it is, it's still a law. It's still, well, I don't even know if it's a law. It may not be a law. I mean, there's a lot of people arguing this, it's never been ratified and we're not liable, and it's a voluntary tax system. You go to court with that argument, guys, and you're not going to fare well. It's going to be a pain in the ass for a long time. I'm just saying. They don't like those people that do that. And they have more money than you, and they can make your life miserable. So either suck it up and just do the right thing and wait, or go out of your way to try to be as evasive as possible and try to just get around everything. And you can do that too. I'm not trying to stop anybody. I'm never going to give you the advice to do that, though. Just for the record, this is recorded. I say this all the time. Do the right thing, be compliant, follow the law, all that stuff. But I'm not going to tell you what to do. Can you make $1 million in a centralized or a decentralized exchange and get away and nobody know about it? Yes. Yes, you could, of course. But how you gonna reintroduce that money? So what I would recommend you do, you don't need a Jake Claver to do this for you. You set up a truck, you set up a LLC. You can set up one in Delaware or Montana or Wyoming. Wyoming, I believe, is the best place. Right. And then you open up a bank account in that business name at an established bank like Chase or Wells Fargo or Bank of America, somewhere like that. I personally use Chase. Chase is kind of in bed with Coinbase. JP Morgan is partners with Coinbase on many things, and they have Bitcoin ETFs, Ethereum ETFs, and they're getting ready to put an XRP ETF. So I believe Chase would probably be one that's a little bit more crypto lenient. But remember, this is a business account that you're opening under a business LLC name, and you're not going to use the word crypto holdings for that account. It's going to be a benign name, like, whatever you want to call it, Buffalo Trading Company LLC, whatever you want, whatever, something, maybe your name, I don't know. But you're going to season that, meaning it's going to sit there with your bank account opened, and you're going to make deposits, maybe from your checking account, and you're going to season it. You're going to maybe apply for some business lines of credit or business credit cards. And you're going to have that account open and ready, because if your Coinbase XRP goes to the moon, you're going to eventually want to take profits and transfer some of that money out. And if you transfer it directly to a personal savings or checking account at your bank that's not used to having hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in it, and they see a transfer deposit coming in from a crypto exchange, that could cause you problems. They could hold it, they could freeze it, they could question you, they could want to know. Because the bigger the amount, guys, the harder it is for you to get it back into normal territory, right? But business accounts are different. So if you have a seasoned LLC, XYZ holding company, and you transfer it from Coinbase into that account, you might even tell the bank that you have a large liquidity event happening in the near future, and you just want to make sure what's the best way to transfer that into your account. They'll tell you. No problem. They're not going to have a problem with it. Banks generally do want you to have a lot of money in your account, but I'm just telling you what could cause a red flag is you having $10 in your checking account, and then all of a sudden 2.3 million gets transferred in there. That's going to cause a problem, at least in the short term. You would just have to verify everything. So it's still your money. They're not going to take it from you, but they would probably freeze and hold it and question you and all that. But in a business account, much less likely.
Nico, quick question. Sorry for digressing a little bit.
No, it's okay.
So the question is, in the long run around XRP, if I'm doing a weekly purchase, let's say $100-$200 every week, does that kind of work in this? I know there's going to be a difference, but what's the pros and cons of doing a weekly versus a one-time buy and letting it sit in cold storage?
It just depends on what you can afford, I guess.
So doing both would be a good strategy, or just sticking to one? I think of course
the faster you accumulate at a lower price, the better off you are.
Yeah.
So if you dollar cost averaging at 200 a week and the price is going down, yeah, you're getting better prices. But if the price is going up and you're still buying at $200 a week as it's going up, like right now it's $285 for XRP, and then next week it's $3 and you buy $200, and then next week it's $380 and you buy $200. Next week it's $4 and you're buying $200. You're buying at higher prices, where you could have bought all of that right now at $285 if you have the resources to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't overextend yourself, guys. Don't get yourself in trouble. Don't spend your college education, your child's college education, your wife's money, whatever, your husband's money. Don't get in trouble with your family, and, do what's right for you. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, as the old saying goes, diversify, all that kind of stuff. But if you have risk capital, I'm just telling you from my own knowledge of everything, I don't really know of anything else right now that can have a multiple of factor, the X factor. I'm not talking about percentage gain. I'm talking about X. X's, like, a 10X is a 1,000% gain. A 100X is a 10,000% gain, so on and so forth. XRP can still do that in the short term. Whereas Bitcoin could Bitcoin could 5x, right? And we just be at 500K for Bitcoin. That's still good. Don't get me wrong. It's going to do it. But XRP could 500x, could 1000x.
Nico, when you say short term, are you talking about the next 3 months or are you talking about the next bull run?
I'm talking about between now and the next bull run. I'm talking about between now and the end of the year or even the next bull run. That's still kind of short term. So if we're talking about within a 5-year period, to me, that's kind of short term, but it could be as quickly as November. There are some big things on the calendar for November with some of these decisions coming out. And it could be faster than some people think. But what if it only goes to $10 in November? What if it only goes to $12 or $15 or $20? You're still going to be very upset because it's never coming back to $3 again. You're still going to be very upset that you didn't buy it at $2.85.
Hey, Nico, I posted a screenshot in the chat. Could you take a look at that and let me know your thoughts?
Is this Mark?
Yes.
So you're saying we got a reset, then a drop, and then drop level 2? Because we came from the downside. We came down, but then we consolidated. So it was a reset and a drop. Makes sense. Can make sense.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if basically we had drop level 1, drop level 2. Yeah, like you said, there's a bit of a reset, but in anticipation of a third.
I see.
Drop
See
level.
right there. That looked like drop level 2 to me. These when Nico zoom out a little bit for me, Nico. So there, that looks like drop level 1, and then consolidation. Drop level 2, sort of consolidation. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
So that's drop level 2, and you're right above that. You're, where you fell down up higher. I would take that top one and I would move it up higher.
Oh, from over here,
Yeah,
you mean?
yeah. So there's drop level 1, consolidation, right? Long consolidation, and then drop level 2, and we're kind of consolidating, but it could be retracing back up.
Yeah.
And when it drops like that, it can retrace the whole price move and then still drop again on us. But
Yeah.
I'd say that's drop level 2.
All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
But yeah, and just keep in mind also we are in a wedge, we are in an apex. And so although we could have another drop, but generally speaking, we can see that we've been holding support here for quite some time. This was the first big pump up to break the previous highs. And we hit resistance and support. We broke through it, held the support here. Support. And the resistance has been downward trending, lower highs. So to me, this is an apex, and it's coming up against ultimately this white line here, which is the upward trending support going all the way back, back here to last year, 1 year ago. Last time we hit this, we did the same thing. We came down and hit it, bounced, hit another lower high and doubled, and then, retested this a few times. We did dip below it and hold as resistance, but we did ultimately break to the upside. So that's certainly possible, but we could break out of this anytime to the upside. And since we're coming into the end of the year, I'm thinking that what we're looking at here, getting all the way to the end of this apex, brings us into November. I'm personally expecting a big move to the upside, guys.
Yep.
If it
Nico,
does,
back on the tax conversation, I moved to Belize yesterday. Any recommendations on what I should be thinking about as far as, I don't know, putting my money elsewhere?
I mean, if you move to Belize and you're living there now,
yes,
I'm pretty sure if you become a citizen there, I mean, if you're earning your money in the United States, or if you're going to be working on your computer in Belize and making money from Belize, you're in a pretty solid tax haven island, country.
I think the IRS doesn't really care. They don't care if you move somewhere else. They still want their money.
True. But some of these places, Cook Islands, Belize, they have some types of protection against their citizens if you actually move there. If you just open up a Belize account and you live in Miami and you're just hiding
I
assets.
live in Belize, but I'm not going to be a citizen. I'm still a U.S. citizen.
Right. So if you set up an entity there and you structure things properly where you just work for the Belize Corporation and the Belize Corporation, the SA, it would be like XYZ instead of corporation or Inc. It would be XYZ SA, Society Anonymous is what that stands for. It's the same thing as a corporation here or an S Corp or a C Corp in the US. You would create an SA over there and you would just become an employee of that. And if that from there, that starts to invest in crypto and things, then technically speaking, that is a foreign corporation earning money on a foreign soil, therefore not subject to US taxes from what I understand. But if there's some kind of veil broken where it's showing that you set all that up as a scam and living in the US just to make money illegally and then take that money from the foreign corporation and buy stuff in the United States, I think you got to keep the money out. You got to keep the money there or in, decentralized land. But that might be the technical legality of it all, but is anybody really watching? Is anybody really doing anything about all that? And is there enough resources? Is there enough people out there investigating these things? I mean, and my guess is that the answer is probably no. I think 25,000 IRS agents lost their jobs during this Trump administration. I think that they're so far behind, they're so antiquated, they're so lost in the dust. There's no way they can keep track of all the crypto that's going on and all the accounts and everything. There's just no way. So they're depending on us and everyone else just volunteering the information. And the truth is, I do volunteer my information, but the truth is that if no one else does on your behalf, then they will never know. And that is kind of just the way it is in this world. You could go years and years and years without filing an income tax. And the minute you do finally file your income tax, like if you let's say you skipped 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and then here in 2025, you finally decide to get back in the system and file your tax return for 2025, you will then get letters asking that they're going to be asking you what happened to 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. Because the last time you filed before 2025 was in 2015. But had you not done that, they would have never, ever, ever reached out to you. It's just kind of the way it is. It's kind of strange, actually. But
so curious, should I open up a new Phemex account and just be from Belize?
I'm very hesitant to give you that. I mean, you could try it. I mean, a lot of things have to be done right. I would recommend you talk to an actual licensed CPA, an attorney, a tax attorney who is educated. Do we have any on this call? Who is educated in that exact legality of that? Because there is a proper way to do it. And I don't want to just say, yeah, just do that and everything's fine, because it may not be. But for instance, you could have an S corporation in the United States, live in the United States, have an S corporation like most people do, typical LLC, where you run your business out of. Money comes in from your customers and goes into your business account. And then let's just say that you, as a sole proprietor, just transfer profits from your business account to your personal checking account. You spend it, you do whatever you want, you buy things with it, you pay your bills. And at the end of the year, your CPA says, okay, well, this is how much money came into your LLC and this is how much you paid yourself. So this is how much taxes you owe. That's pretty much how it works. That's the easy setup.
Living that life.
That's complex. That's not complex. But
no.
A good CPA and a good accountant, a good tax attorney might say, well, instead of doing that, why don't you structure it so that instead of you taking profits from your S corporation, which is making the money, that's the business. Let's say it's a lawn service for sake of this example. The lawn service is XYZ LLC, and you're out there cutting lawns. And then the money goes into the business account, but every month or whatever, you're just taking profit right out of that, right into your personal checking account. And then, so at the end of the year, your accountant says, okay, your lawn company made 500,000 gross revenue. You paid yourself 150,000, and the rest was expenses and all that stuff. So now you got to pay personal income tax on 150,000, and everything else was like expenses. And so the LLC is just a pass-through corporation, pass-through entity. But they might, a really smart accountant or a smart attorney might say, instead of doing that, you're going to set up a separate holding company, and it's going to be a C corporation instead. And then your lawn care company, XYZ LLC, is going to go out there and do business, and it's going to bring in all the money. But instead of you paying yourself to your personal checking account, all that money is going to flow to a holding company, which is ABC Holding C Corp. And you are now employed by ABC Holding C Corp as a manager. So you're managing the account. Now you might still get paid $120,000 a year, but you're going to get paid from that C Corp now a salary. And that $120,000 a year and that $10,000 a month, whatever it is what you're going to pay all your bills with, and your living expenses, your grocery bills, and all that stuff. The rest of the money stays in the C Corp. This is what's difficult for people to do. This is the right way to do it. And that C Corp now covers all of your expenses. You personally, like rent, your house that you live in. If you work, if you have a home office at that house, you're going to write it off as a business expense. If you have American Express for your business, for the C Corp, that's going to pay all your other expenses, and you're going to write all that off. If you travel for business, so you go to a conference in Vegas for lawn care conference or whatever, that's going to come out of the business expense. And so your personal taxes are only on the salary that you get from the holding company that you work for. If you do that right, then there's no problems. But what most people do wrong is they set up these entities and these structures, and then they just pull money out and spend money on whatever they want, and take money to themselves personally, and withdraw money personally, and buy things personally, and it's commingling of funds, and it's obvious that you just set all this up as a sham to get around some kind of taxes. So there is a right way and a wrong way to do all this stuff. So I highly recommend you guys speak to legal and smart tax attorneys who understand not only how to structure it, but how you need to behave after it's structured, because that's even more important. You cannot do certain things anymore the way you were used to doing it. You still have access to the money. You're still the only one controlling that holding a company, but you're not going to be buying things personally. You're not going to be buying your girlfriend or your wife necklace out of your holding company business account. You would have to pay for that out of personal income. You can give yourself loans from the business entity, but things have to be documented, minutes have to be recorded. And then at the end of it all, you might say, well, what about double taxation? Am I going to be double taxed? Because the C corporation pays high tax. No, you're gonna have less tax because you're paying corporate tax instead of personal tax. Your personal tax is going to be low because you're going to pay yourself a low salary, and the entity, the holding company, is going to pay most of your bills and expenses. And you just have to structure it properly. You just have to do it right. So before you were taking all the money out of your LLC and going to you, and you have a high tax on it, but now it's going to a holding company that you just work for, and you're going to have a lower income tax because you're paying yourself a smaller amount of that money. That money just sits in there, it just grows and accumulates, just like your own personal checking account, except for it's a holding company now. So and some people don't like that because they feel like but I can't just go buy what I want. You can, but you have to do it the right way, and it has to be owned by something else. So if you want to buy that boat, that's fine. Let your holding company, which is your business, buy it and own it. You're just manager of that account. Who cares who owns it? In fact,
or you're a nonprofit organization that you're donating your taxes to. That's what buys the boat.
That's correct. So you don't need to own, it's control. You control everything and own nothing. That's the way to reduce your tax liability down to nothing. You control it, but you don't own it. You could have a lot of stuff, guys. You could have boats, cars, all kinds of shit, and you don't own anything.
Awesome feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, so definitely get legal advice from somebody who's a licensed attorney, tax accountant, CPA. I will be sharing mine, guys. I'm going to have a call with my CPA, and I am in the process of putting that together, and I will introduce him to everybody in here, but I'm not sure he knows what he's getting himself involved in if I do that, because he's going to be inundated. So I told him that, you know, I can give him an audience of a couple hundred members all at once, but he is a smart guy and he knows what he's doing. He knows how to structure things properly. So you guys might find benefit of that. So I'm in the process of putting that together. But as far as taxes guys go, just do what you're supposed to do, but worry more about making the money first. You know, it doesn't matter if you have a tax consequence if you don't have any money. You know, I'd rather have the problem of owing a lot of taxes than have the problem of being structured properly for making a lot of money but not having any. Because if you owe a lot of taxes, that means you made a lot of money. Anyway, I know sometimes we get off on different tangents in here, guys, because the market's just not really moving right now. It's kind of slow. So I apologize if you have any last minute questions, guys. We're going to wrap this call up in 2 minutes because we do have onboarding. For those of you who are brand new, we got an onboarding call starting at 2 p.m. Bill has already posted the link. I am positive. Let's see. There it is. Onboarding for new members, 2 p.m. He posted that in the Zoom chat that we're on now. And also, if you go into Discord, I'm sure he posted that also in the trade chat. Yes, he did right here. And he probably posted it also in the announcements channel. There it is right there. So there's no reason to miss that. Get in there. And that's for brand new people. And if you're new, but you've been on one before, you can certainly get on it again. Highly recommend it, especially if you need to just make sure you got things set up right or you're doing things right, get on it again. So that's coming up right now in 2 minutes. Jump over there. I'm going to wrap this call up after I answer any last questions. If anybody asked a question in the chat that I didn't answer, just jump right out and ask it again, please. And by the way, if you're Canadian, because I know we got a lot of Canadians in here, and you hear everything that I'm talking about, this may not apply to Canadian law is a little different. They got different things going on over there. Definitely get with your CPA over there in Canada. I'm going to look at Bitcoin real quick before I get off here because I am in a long position on Bitcoin and Bitcoin still seems to be trending down a little bit. It is at 112.3. Let's go back to a lower time frame and see. It jumped up to 113 and then came back down, went up to like 113.8. It's just double bottoming him again, like I said it would do probably. If you go back and look at my post in the signal channel, I said Bitcoin's still in my long, added more contracts. Now might be a better entry, but we could also see a double bottom to retest the 112. If this bounce doesn't hold, still waiting to see. And that's exactly what's happening. It came down and wicked all the way down to here, bounced on the 112, started to climb, and now it's retesting that level. So this is also a bear flag, guys. If it cannot hold at 112, I am reversing this position. And I will know that actually shortly because this is starting to look pretty bearish. I don't really like that. I mean, this is a clear break of a bear flag to the downside. The problem is whenever there's a bear flag right up against major support and resistance, sometimes it doesn't break to the downside. And so I could put this here. I could put this here and say, it looks like it not only broke through that and retested, but if I see a big drop to the downside, guys, I'm going to reverse this. I'm going to go short on Bitcoin. And let's go back and look at and what will happen to XRP and Ethereum and all these other ones. Let's look real quick. Ethereum. Yeah, that's not really good. We had a big drop for Ethereum all the way down to 4,077. This is also a bear flag. It could also continue down a little bit. There's some strange stuff happening right now in the overall market. What's going on here? Going into Monday, we could see a little bit more wicking down before the big pump to the upside. Let's go to a little bit higher and see what's going on here with Ethereum. What can we come down to here? It looks like we already broke below this major support resistance level. The next support and resistance is, I mean, we did wick down to it. So if you look at this, guys, look at this back here. We had some resistance here, support here, and we did wick right to it. So we could come down and just double bottom there. This could be a little apex we're in right now. And it could do this. Hit it again. And then break out to the upside. But if it falls below that and retests underneath, then we're going to 38.56. And that is this major resistance here. And I mean, we did already break the upward trending support, so going back for quite a way. So, you know, this could be, look at the kings, the crown. We got a possible head and shoulders up here too. And yeah, I mean, bearish stuff going on. Now let's look at XRP one more time. But a lot of times, guys, it's temporary. You know, it looks scary. It looks like it's going to be a big drop, and it could be, but then you want to catch the bounce. So don't worry about shorting it. I would be more prepared to catch the bounce when it does. If it does drop all the way down to that level, then get ready to go long, ride it back up. XRP, we did have a nice big wick to the downside. We are kind of accumulating, trying to come back up. I was in profit. I still am a little bit on that entry. I do think we might hit this downward trending resistance first, and possibly even double bottom again here at the 277 range. That was major support going back a ways, all the way back to July. And so I think that we could hold there, but you know, it is a falling wedge, guys. As you can see, we've got lower highs. And by the way, even if we break out of this downward trending resistance, we still have a ways to go before the end of this apex and hitting this upward trending support. So, but I would say that we would break out here, boom, come back up to the top, maybe even test it one more time, wick down to that line, and then break out. All right, that's my update. I got another call I got to jump on, guys. Any last question? Chad posted a limit order buy entry on ETH at 4K and canceled it. I think it might get filled. Yeah, so, you know, we're a little bit in like an awkward territory right now. We have some consolidation. We are coming down to retest some lows. And I think that better sometimes to sit on your hands and wait for the breakout to the upside or the breakout to the downside of major support. So I'm going to be on guard today. I will let you know as soon as I see something. I am currently in those two positions. I'm in a long on XRP and on Bitcoin, but my Bitcoin is negative, about $500 negative, because I went long the other day on that one, but I'm still in it unless I see it break that 112 level to the downside, and then I will reverse that and I will post in the group if I do that. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. If you have any other questions after I hang up right now, just ask it in the main chat and tag either me or Chad or Bill or whoever you want to answer it. And get on the onboarding call if you're new or relatively new. Get on that. It started right now. He's just starting that. So hop on over there. Even if you're not new, you're welcome to listen in on that just for a refresher.